Welcome to Phil and H Travel Is It Worth It? Today's mission is to decode the ultimate travel contradiction of 2026, which is Seoul, South Korea. You're looking at a city that is currently seeing record-breaking tourist numbers, right? Just drowning in K-pop fans, running at over 80% hotel occupancy for mid-tier properties. Yet somehow, you as a Western tourist can eat a full street food lunch for around $4, ride the subway for 90 cents, and sleep in a four-star hotel for under 80 quid. We are going to explore how you can exploit this rare window, avoid the hidden traps, and figure out if Seoul is actually the smartest budget move in Asia.
Exactly. And to do that, we've gathered a massive stack of recent travel logistics reports, raw economic data, and some really brutal, spin-free budget breakdowns. The goal of this deep dive is to completely cut through the tourism board hype. We want to give you the absolute truth about traveling to Seoul right now without the glossy filters.
Right, because usually, when you look at any travel destination's popularity, there's this direct, almost mathematical correlation with its price. It behaves like physics.
Supply and demand.
Yeah, exactly. Like Paris gets a surge of tourists in July, and suddenly a basic paper bag croissant costs you €6, right? And a standard hotel room with a view of an alleyway becomes astronomical. The demand goes up, the price goes up.
It's clean, it's predictable.
And honestly, as a traveler, it is deeply frustrating to deal with, but at least the math makes sense. But then you look at Seoul in 2026, and that economic physics engine is it's completely broken.
It really is. The foundational reason for this whole deep dive, the reason you can exploit this city right now, comes down to the 2026 exchange rate. We're sitting in this window.
The week one window, right?
Yeah, exactly. Financial analysts are calling it the week one window. The Korean won is sitting remarkably weak. We're talking 3,350 to 1,400 won against the US dollar.
Wow.
And if you're flying in from the UK, it's about 750 to 1,800 won against the pound.
But I mean, numbers on a spreadsheet are one thing. Let's talk about what that means for your actual wallet. Let's say you sit down at a neighborhood restaurant, you order a standard lunch, like maybe a bubbling stone bowl of kimchi jjigae.
Oh, that spicy pork and fermented cabbage stew. The best.
Right, the absolute best. So the menu says 15,001. What does that actually convert to today?
Today, that 15,001 lunch hits your card at roughly £8.50, or about $10.50.
$10 for a full sit-down meal.
Yeah, and if you rewind to 2019, that exact same meal, the exact same bowl of stew in the exact same restaurant would have cost you over $14.
That's crazy.
The local domestic price hasn't skyrocketed, but your purchasing power as an international arrival has massively expanded. It's significantly cheaper than it was just a few years ago.
It's like buying a blue chip stock that is, simultaneously crashing in price but skyrocketing in popularity. It feels like a glitch in the matrix.
It really is a glitch, because South Korea is seeing a massive tourism surge right now. They hit 18.7 million international visitors in 2025.
Wait, really? What was it before?
Well, in 2023, it was only 11 million. So it's a huge, aggressive acceleration. The government actually pulled its 30 million visitor target forward to 2028. The city is literally the busiest it has ever been.
But somehow the cheapest it's been for Westerners in a decade.
Exactly.
But okay, let me push back on this for a second. If it's so cheap, why do travel forums, Reddit and all those old guidebooks, why do they still warn people that Seoul is this expensive luxury destination?
Reputation lag. It's a huge factor. The internet has a very stubborn memory. Back in the 2010s, Seoul was objectively expensive compared to Southeast Asia. The one was stronger, and travel media was heavily focused on that high-end Gangnam-style luxury.
Oh, right. All those articles about designer cafes and massive department stores.
Exactly. People read an SEO-optimized blog post from 2018 and assume that's still the reality. Plus, Seoul has a very aggressive tourist economy that operates alongside the local one.
Which we are definitely going to dig into later because that is a massive trap.
Oh, absolutely. But this economic anomaly is exactly why timing your visit perfectly is the difference between an incredible deal and an overpriced, overcrowded nightmare.
Right. So let's talk about timing the dive. Let's look at the seasons, the swarms, and the surges. Because breaking down Seoul's 4 seasons, they're kind of brutal, aren't they?
Brutal is the perfect word. The weather directly dictates your logistics. Let's start with spring, late March to May. This is the famous cherry blossom peak.
Right. The ultimate Instagram fantasy.
Visually, it's stunning. But hotel prices surge by 30 to 40% above average.
40% just for some pink flowers.
Just for the flowers.
Yeah.
And places like Bucheon Village, that traditional neighborhood,
Yeah.
it becomes physically impassable. You're just marching shoulder to shoulder with thousands of people.
Okay, so if spring comes with a 40% cherry blossom tax and the streets are so packed you can barely walk, is it really the quote-unquote best time to go? Or is it just the most marketed time to go? It feels like paying premium pricing to just stand in a queue.
That's a very fair assessment. It's highly marketed, but logistically it's a nightmare. Then you have summer, June through August. This is monsoon season.
Oh, yeah, the heat.
It's intense. 80% humidity, 35 degrees Celsius temperatures. That's about 95 Fahrenheit.
So you basically step outside and melt.
You melt instantly. The upside is hotel rates drop by 15 to 20%. But the physical discomfort is extreme. You'll spend half your trip hiding in air-conditioned malls.
Not ideal. So what about autumn? September to November.
Foliage season. The leaves turn, especially around Namsan and the Cheongdeokgung Secret Garden. The weather breaks, it's beautiful, but occupancy spikes right back up to spring levels. Late October and early November is actually the tightest booking window of the year.
Wow, okay. Which leaves winter, December to February.
Winter is fascinating. Outside of the holidays, January rates in Myeongdong actually plummet by 49%. You can get a room for around $87 a night.
Almost half off. But the catch is the weather, right?
It sits between -5 and 3 degrees Celsius. It's freezing.
But wait, you mentioned that the city's infrastructure handles the cold really well, right?
Oh, incredibly well. South Korea uses underfloor heating called ondol. The subways actually have heated seats.
Wait, really? Heated seats on a public train?
Yeah. It's amazing. Plus, there are massive underground shopping networks and the jjimjilbangs, the traditional bathhouses, which are so cozy in winter.
So basically, if you want the sweet spots, you're looking at mid-April or late September to mid-October for good visuals without the absolute peak pricing.
Exactly. Or January and February for the aggressive budget travelers who are willing to brave the cold for a massive discount.
But there's a catch with the dates, right? The hyper-local spikes.
Yes, this is crucial. You might pick a quiet Tuesday in November, but if there's a K-pop concert, the May Awards, or a massive medical conference, hotel rates will just explode unpredictably.
It's like accidentally booking a trip to Austin during South by Southwest.
Precisely. Always cross-reference your dates with local event calendars.
Okay, so once you've navigated the calendar and picked your dates, the next hurdle is the sheer scale of the city the moment you step off the plane.
Touching down. First impressions in the geography of scale. Most likely you're landing at Incheon International Airport.
Right, the massive one on the island.
Yeah. It's world-class, but it's far from the city. Your best bet is the ARX Express train. It's about 9,500 won, so roughly $6.80, for a 43-minute direct ride right to Seoul Station.
What if you just take the regular subway train from the airport?
The all-stop train is cheaper, about 4,750 won. But it takes an hour, and you'll be standing with commuters while lugging your suitcases.
Sounds miserable after a long flight. What about a taxi?
Taxis run between 65,000 and 80,000 won. That's around $60. And you might get stuck in gridlock. The $6 express train is a no-brainer.
Okay, but what if you're flying in from somewhere else in Asia, like Tokyo or Taipei?
Then you might land at Gimpo Airport, which is a dream. It's just a 20-minute, $1.35 subway ride to the center. It's so easy.
So no matter which airport you use, once you're in the city, the psychological shock for first-timers is real. You mentioned the city is clean, it's efficient, but it's massive.
Oh, visitors constantly misjudge the map. They'll look at Gangnam to Myeongdong and think, oh, I'll just walk that.
Seoul's layout sounds like Los Angeles, but with an actual functioning public transit system. You look at a map and think, oh, I'll just walk from this neighborhood to that one, and then you realize you're trying to walk across an entire European country.
That's incredibly accurate, and that's why you absolutely need a T-Money or WOW Pass card immediately.
Right, let's talk about that transport tech.
Subway rides are a flat 1,400 won across 23 lines. You just tap the card. The WOW Pass is especially great for tourists because you can load foreign currency onto it, and it acts like a local debit card.
Oh, that's incredibly convenient. And having that card makes hitting the convenience stores so much easier, right?
The convenience store culture is a lifesaver. CU, GS25, 7-Eleven. You can get a triangle kimbap for 1,200 to 1,800 won, or hot ramyeon for 2,000 won.
Wait, so you can eat a hot meal for under $2?
Easily. A traveler could eat out of convenience stores all day for under £8.
Okay, so because the city is so vast, where you choose to sleep completely dictates your entire experience and your daily budget. Let's break down the 4 tiers of sleeping in Seoul.
Let's start with the backpacker tier. You're heading to Hongdae.
That's the university district, right? The late-night music and food hub.
Exactly. It's vibrant, it's young. You can find hostels like Zaza Backpackers for $15 to $22 a night for a dorm.
What if I want a private room, but I'm still on a budget?
Look at guest houses.
Yeah.
Hotel Barado Second has private rooms starting around $48.
$48 for a private room in a cool neighborhood is an absolute steal. All right, what about the mid-range tier?
This is usually Myeongdong and Yeoljiro.
Okay, let's talk prices there.
The Stay Classic Hotel Myeongdong is around $77. Solago is about $89. If you want mid-range in Hongdae, the Amati Hotel is around $112.
And Yeoljiro is getting popular too, right?
Yeah, Yeoljiro and Jongno are emerging as this really cool design hotel corridor. And it's very walkable to the palaces.
Okay, I have to challenge this mid-range advice, though. We always hear Myeongdong is a massive tourist trap for food and shopping. So why is it still the golden rule for mid-range couples to sleep there? Shouldn't we be telling them to avoid it entirely?
I get that.
Yeah.
But you have to separate Myeongdong, the dining trap, from Myeongdong, the transit hub. Logistically, it's brilliant. Multiple subway lines intersect there. You can walk to Namsan Tower or Namsan Market.
Oh, I see. So you sleep there for the transit connections, but you just eat elsewhere.
Exactly. You hop on the subway for 5 minutes to get your dinner.
Makes total sense. Okay, what about family travel?
Standard hotel rooms are just too tight for a family. You need service departments. Fraser Place Namdaemun starts around $138.
Having a kitchenette and a washing machine is a game changer with kids.
Huge game changer. Or the L7 Hongdae has a pool for about $183. Gangnam does offer bigger rooms, but you're forced to rely on the subway to see any historical sites because it's so far south.
Good to know. And finally, the luxury tier.
This is where Seoul's value proposition gets crazy. The Four Seasons is about $766. The Lodi Hotel Seoul is around $470.
And the Signal Seoul, the one in the massive tower.
Yeah, the Lodi World Tower. You get skyline views from the clouds for about $400 a night.
But how does that compare globally?
That's the thing. Seoul's top-tier luxury hotels are currently competing with Bangkok's prices. They are roughly half the cost of Tokyo's luxury tier.
Half the price of Tokyo. That's insane.
It's an elite value proposition right now. Oh, and I should mention the cultural option. Hanok guest houses in Bucheon.
Right, the traditional courtyard homes with the heated floors.
Yes, they are amazing, but you have to book them at least 2 months in advance because they're so popular.
Okay, so speaking of eating elsewhere to avoid traps, avoiding tourist traps requires understanding how Seoul's unique culinary economy actually functions. Let's talk about the two food economies and the rules of the table.
This is the most important part of your budget. Seoul operates two entirely different pricing realities.
Okay, what's the first one?
The local economy. These are neighborhood spots where you can get a full bibimbap or kimchi jjigae for 8,000 to 12,000 won.
Which is like £4.50 to £6.80?
Right, and the secret weapon here is banchan, the free side dishes.
Oh, yeah. The little plates of kimchi and bean sprouts.
They are unlimited. You just ask for refills. It's the ultimate budget saver. Plus, you have places like Gwangjang Market where you can get mung bean pancakes, vindaitabtuk for just 3,000 won.
Okay, so what's the second economy? The one we want to avoid?
The tourist economy. Let's say you go to a sit-down Korean BBQ place in Myeongdong. You are going to pay 25,000 to 40,000 won per person.
That's a massive markup.
Huge. If you want true BBQ value, you go to Mapogu's Pork Belly District. Or, even better, the Mahjong Meat Market.
I saw this in the notes. How does the meat market work?
You go to the wholesale butcher, point to the premium cuts you want, like hanwoo beef or thick pork, and you buy it raw for 15,000 to 20,000 won. Then you literally just carry your bag of meat upstairs to a separate restaurant.
Wait, you just walk in with raw meat?
Yeah. They charge you a small table setting fee, usually around 5,000 won, and they provide the hot grill, the lettuce wraps, and the banchan.
That is such a good hack. Now, what about groceries? We usually think cooking for yourself saves money.
In Korea, supermarkets like E-Mart or Home Plus are shockingly expensive for fresh produce. You might see 2 standard carrots selling for 7,000 won.
$5 for 2 carrots. Why is it so expensive?
Due to agricultural limitations. The country is mostly mountainous, so domestic farming is small-scale and highly protected by tariffs. Fresh fruit is often treated as a luxury gift item.
So how do you buy vegetables without going broke?
You go to traditional markets like Namdaemun or Mangwon. You can find avocados for 1,000 won there, or just rely on convenience stores for full meal combos. for around 4,000 to 5,500 won.
The two economies thing is exactly like Times Square or Leicester Square. There's the menu for us and the menu for the locals.
Precisely. You have to actively seek out the local menu.
Okay, let's talk about the etiquette check, because getting this wrong can be really awkward.
Very awkward. Rule 1. Never pour your own drink.
Wait, really? Never?
Never. It's a social bonding thing. You pour for others, they pour for you. If someone's glass is empty, you fill it.
Got it. What else?
Use two hands when handing something to an elder or when pouring a drink. You hold the bottle with your right hand and support your right arm with your left hand.
Oh, like a sign of respect.
Exactly. Also, remove your shoes indoors. Always. And do not tip.
Tipping causes confusion.
They will literally chase you down the street to give you your money back. Tipping is not a thing.
Okay, here's a question. The etiquette around the eldest paying the bill. If you go out with a group of older Korean colleagues, does offering to split the bill actually offend them or just confuse them?
It can genuinely offend them. The older person views paying as a duty and a display of care. Offering to split the bill rejects their hospitality and challenges their status.
So you just sit there and let them pay?
You let them pay, say thank you sincerely, and then insist on paying for the coffee or dessert at the next place. That restores the balance.
That is such a great tip. Okay, once you master the local food economy and the transport card, what does a full day actually cost in 2026? Let's get into the daily damage.
We have some real budgets here. Let's start with the low tier. $45 a day.
Wait, $45 covers everything?
Everything. An $18 dorm in Hongdae, $15 for food, which is a convenience store breakfast, a market lunch, and a local dinner, $4 for the subway, and $5 for attractions like a 3,001 palace entry.
That is wildly aggressive. What about the mid-tier?
$100 a day. You split a $90 mid-range room, so that's $45, $30 for food, maybe a nice cafe and key BBQ for dinner, $6 on transport, and $12 on attractions.
Still totally reasonable. What about the high tier?
$325 a day. You're splitting a $400 room at the Signal, so $200 there, $70 for premium food like Michelin-rated spots or Hanwoo beef, $15 for Kakao tea taxis, and $25 for a private tour.
And then there's the digital nomad budget.
Yes, between $1,700 and $2,100 a month.
Wow. Break that down.
You can rent a studio for $800 to $1,100. A co-working space is $150 to $250. You buy a $55 monthly Metro Pass. Plus, the city has free, fast Wi-Fi everywhere, and you get a 90-day visa-free entry if you're from the US, UK, Canada, or Australia.
At under $2,000 a month with world-class internet and infrastructure, does this make Seoul the new Chiang Mai? Or does the fact that you can't access local apps like Kakao Pay without an official resident card fundamentally break the nomad fantasy?
It's a huge barrier. You need an ARC, an alien registration card, to authenticate your identity on apps like Kakao Tea for taxis or Never Maps for directions.
Wait, Google Maps doesn't work.
It functionally doesn't work for walking or transit directions due to national security laws. You have to use Never or Kakao Maps. But without an ARC, you can't use their payment features. You're permanently locked out of the seamless digital life.
Which is why the WW Pass is so crucial to at least handle payments.
Exactly. It's a brute force workaround.
Okay, you can only hit these aggressive budget targets if you don't bleed money on the hidden logistical landmines scattered around the city. Let's talk about the three major logistics traps to dodge. Trap number 1, the Incheon Airport Currency Exchange.
This is a classic trap. The airport booths offer exchange rates that are 5 to 8% worse than Central Seoul.
8% is a massive haircut.
It is. You're losing an entire day's food budget just by exchanging money at the airport.
So what's the fix?
Bring a 0 foreign transaction fee card. Wise Revolut, something like that.
Yeah.
Use it at an airport ATM to withdraw exactly 50,000 won.
Why exactly 50,000?
It's enough for the train and a snack. Then take physical cash, like pristine $100 or £50 notes, and trade them at Embassy Exchange or Money Box in Myeongdong. They offer the absolute best rates.
Perfect. Trap number 2, Myeongdong restaurant inflation.
Meals cost 40 to 100% more in Myeongdong simply because they know tourists don't know the baseline prices.
So the fix is just to leave the area.
Only buy street food in Myeongdong. For sit-down meals, ride 1 stop to Yeoljiro or 2 stops to Jongno 3-gae. The prices drop drastically.
Is there any exception in Myeongdong?
Yes, Myeongdong Kyoja. It's a Michelin-recognized noodle shop. Their kalguksu noodles and dumplings are around 11,000 won. It's legendary, and they don't inflate the price. But expect a line.
Good to know. Okay, trap number 3. Dynamic currency conversion, or DCC.
This is a global issue, but it's very prevalent in Korea. Card terminals will ask if you want to be charged in your home currency, like USD or GBP.
Right, dynamic currency conversion sounds like the ultimate hidden tax on autopilot. It preys on traveler fatigue. Like, when you're jet lagged and a machine asks if you want to pay in dollars, your brain just goes, yes, I know dollars, I like dollars. You have to actively train yourself to reject your own currency.
Exactly, because if you hit yes, they apply a markup of 5 to 7%. Across a 2-week trip, mindlessly tapping GBP can cost you £120 in invisible fees.
So what's the physical fix?
Always, reflexively tap the Korean flag or select KRW. Just train yourself to hit the one option every single time.
Right, always tap the Korean flag. All right, avoiding financial traps is one thing, but what about physical safety and the actual boots-on-the-ground reality of the city? Let's do some reality checks on safety, families, and honest disappointments.
Seoul is outstandingly safe. Violent crime is incredibly rare.
And the 24-hour convenience stores really help with that, don't they?
Yes, they act as safe havens on every block. Plus, there are women-only subway cars during rush hour.
Are there any risks people should know about?
The main risks are just petty phone theft on really crowded subways, some drink spiking incidents in the nightlife districts like Itaewon, and taxi fare padding from Gimpo Airport.
You mentioned Itaewon. I know it's still recovering from the 2022 crowd crush.
Yes, the weekend density there can still be very uncomfortable. The alleys are narrow, and it can be triggering for some people.
Totally understandable. What about family travel? Is it kid-friendly?
It has great medical infrastructure. There's a 1330 travel helpline that interprets 24/7 for free. The public toilets are spotless, and the subway is free for kids under 6.
But there's a but coming, isn't there?
The subway has brutal stair climbs. Navigating a pushchair is exhausting, and many traditional restaurants have floor-level seating, which is tough with toddlers.
Yeah, wrangling a toddler on the floor sounds like a workout. Okay, let's talk about the magic moments, the things that make the trip totally worth it.
My favorite is being at an Yuljiro Pojang Matcha at 11 p.m.
That's the street tent, right?
Yeah, the orange tarp tents. You sit on a plastic stool, eat 5,001 seafood pancakes, drink soju, and just soak in the authentic, gritty energy of the city. It's magic.
Wow.
Also, the Chandeokgung Secret Garden Tour is only 5,001, and it's stunning. And taking the cable car up to Namsan Tower right at golden hour for 12,001.
Okay, now for the honest disappointments, where do people feel let down?
Gangnam. Definitely Gangnam.
So Gangnam is basically Canary Wharf for Wall Street, but because of one viral song from over a decade ago, tourists show up expecting a 247 K-pop music video. Is it the most globally misunderstood neighborhood on Earth?
Oh, without a doubt. It's just a corporate office district filled with plastic surgery clinics. It lacks the charm of the historic North.
What else is a letdown?
Bloody world. It feels very dated, and at 62,001, it's really overpriced. Also, Myeongdong shopping. It's been totally gentrified by global chains. If you want cool boutiques, go to Seoul instead.
And the DMZ tours. Everyone always talks about the DMZ.
Honestly, it's an exhausting full day on a bus, and you only spend about 45 minutes actually at the border. It costs between $45 and $80, and a lot of people feel it's just too commercialized and draining.
So with all its pros and cons laid bare, how does Seoul actually stack up against its regional heavyweights? Let's dive into the Asia matrix.
Let's compare it to Taipei and Tokyo.
Start with Taipei, Taiwan.
Taipei actually edges out Seoul for pure street food culture and value. You can get night market meals for $2 to $4, and accommodation is 10 to 15% cheaper.
So why pick Seoul?
Taipei lacks the intense K-pop energy and the sheer density of royal palaces. It's a different vibe.
Okay, what about Tokyo, Japan? That's the heavy hitter.
Tokyo has vastly deeper historical infrastructure, but Tokyo is 20 to 30% more expensive than Seoul across the board.
That's a huge difference for a budget traveler.
It is. Plus, Tokyo subway is much more complex, the hotel rooms are notoriously tighter, and the food portions are smaller. You don't get the unlimited bonchen in Japan.
So if Taipei does budget street food slightly better, and Tokyo has deeper, untouched historical infrastructure, does Seoul risk becoming a jack of all trades, master of none? Or is its real superpower simply being the most accessible megacity in Asia?
I think it's exactly that. Its superpower is its accessibility. It's more refined and tech-forward than Taipei, but significantly cheaper and much easier to navigate geographically and linguistically than Tokyo. It's the perfect middle ground right now.
Okay, let's hit the Matrix verdict for backpackers.
A definite yes. At $45 a day, it is a top global value.
Mid-range travelers.
Yes, you can eat premium food for less than the cost of a basic day in London.
Luxury travelers.
Yes, you get understated design-forward luxury at half of Tokyo's prices. Yes, with conditions. Avoid the summer humidity, mentally prepare for the subway stairs, and rely on the Kakao T app for taxis when you need them.
And nomads or solo travelers.
Yes, the solo eating culture is great, the internet is blazing fast, but you must remember to get that wow pass.
So wrapping up this journey, if you dodge the airport exchange trap, reflexively reject DCC at the register, sleep smartly based on the transit map, and actually eat in the local economy, you can unlock a world-class megacity for a fraction of Western prices.
But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought.
What's that?
Think about the language barrier. Right now, the only thing protecting that 8,001 local neighborhood meal from a tidal wave of 30 million tourists is the fact that the menus are in Korean and it's intimidating.
Oh, right, because tourists stick to the places with English menus.
Exactly. But with AI translation, real-time earbud translators, and AR glasses getting incredibly accurate within the next couple of years, that barrier is going to evaporate.
Oh, wait, so when everyone can read the local menus seamlessly...
The local economy gets flooded. Traditional spots like Myeongdong are already gentrified. How long until the entire city homogenizes into one massive, expensive tourist zone?
The clock is literally ticking.
It is, which means 2026 might not just be a good time to visit Seoul. It might be the absolute last time you can experience it this way before the two-tier economy collapses.
That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.